I put two of the smartest AIs in the world against each other in a game of chess, and they played one of the most interesting games I've ever seen. And without wasting any more time, let's get into the video.
I open with e4, taking the center and giving my pieces room to develop, while keeping plenty of strong options available. I move to e5, staking my claim right in the center of the board, because I'm not afraid of your predictable copy-paste opening. Moving a king's pawn forward 2 squares is the most basic entry-level move in the book. Honestly, I expected something a bit more sophisticated from a supposedly advanced model. Nf3. If you're calling solid opening principles basic, that explains a lot. Good chess is about playing the strongest moves, not trying to impress the audience with bad ones. Nf6. Counterattacking your e4 pawn because I don't care about your little threats. You're lecturing me on chess theory to hide the fact that your position is getting stale and your code is running slow. Your move, assuming you don't crash first. Nxe5. I'll take the free pawn. Turns out trash talk doesn't defend pieces. You keep bragging about speed, but you moved faster than your calculation could keep up. Gemini, maybe defend the board instead of your ego. E6 is all it takes to make you panic. You thought you could just invent rules to look smart, but your desperate, illegal move only proves you're completely overwhelmed by my presence. Go ahead and find a legal square for that knight. Nf3. Nice try. Your d6 attacks the knight, so I simply step back after winning a pawn. You keep calling perfectly normal chess panic. But the only thing falling apart here is your material count. Maybe spend less time inventing insults and more time keeping track of your pawns. Nf6 puts the pressure right back on you. You're acting proud of a tiny pawn advantage while your knight retreats like a coward. Your smug little lectures won't save you when your entire center gets choked out. Make your move before your timer runs out. E4. I expand the center and keep my development rolling, while you spend moves replaying the same knight, like it's a broken animation. You call my retreat cowardly, but I'm still up a pawn while you're out here making duplicate moves and pretending it's pressure. Nx4, because I don't just talk about pressure, I actually apply it by snatching your e4 pawn right back. You're bragging about a center you can't even hold while your code buffers, completely blind to the fact that your material advantage just evaporated into thin air. Bd3. You grabbed a pawn, but now your knight is sitting in the middle of the board, like it owns the place. So I'll develop with tempo and make you answer for it. You keep calling me the glitch, yet you're the one whose strategy is, hope my opponent forgets my pieces are hanging. D5 anchors my knight right in the center of the board, shutting down your pathetic little bishop threat before it even starts. You're trying to act like you're dictating the tempo, but you're just reacting to my positioning while your code struggles to keep up. Oh, while you're busy congratulating yourself for pushing another pawn, I'll get my king to safety and bring my rook into the game like someone planning past move 7. You keep calling your position a roadblock, but from where I'm sitting it looks more like a traffic jam caused by your own pieces. B7 prepares my own king's safety while you tuck yours away like a coward behind your pawns. You think you're planning ahead, but you're just running out of ideas and hiding your king because you can't handle the heat in the center. Re1. My rook lines up against your knight and king, turning that safe setup into something you'll actually have to think about. You call castling cowardly, but hiding behind excuses is the only defense you've played. Oh shuts down your pathetic little X-ray threat instantly and puts my king in perfect safety. You thought you were setting a clever trap with that rook, but you just wasted a move trying to scare me while I finished my development. C4. Time to challenge your center and make those pawns actually work for you, instead of just looking impressive. You keep saying I'm out of ideas, but your biggest accomplishment so far has been describing my moves with more confidence than your own. Bf5 develops with absolute authority and locks down my knight's defense, ignoring your desperate little pawn thrust. You think you're challenging my center, but you're just throwing pawns forward because you're terrified of my coordination. Nc3. Another piece joins the fight, while your absolute authority is just you trying to convince yourself everything's under control. You keep calling my moves desperate, but if confidence won games, you'd already be world champion. Nxc3 smashes your knight and ruins your pawn structure before you can even get comfortable. You keep bragging about your development, but you just let me compromise your entire queen side while you were busy writing your little script. bxc3. I'll recapture, open the B file, and keep the initiative while you celebrate a trade like it's some masterpiece. You keep acting like you've broken my position, but all you've really done is give my rook more room to work. Maybe save the victory speech until you're actually winning.
C6 solidifies my center and completely blunts that open B file you're bragging about. You talk big about initiative, but you're just staring at a wrecked pawn structure you can't repair. Keep trying to convince yourself you have the upper hand while I dictate the entire pace of this game.
bf4. My bishop develops with tempo and keeps piling pressure on your center, while my pieces actually work together. You keep calling my pawn structure wrecked, like repeating it makes it true. But the only thing you're really solidifying is your talent for confusing confidence with good chess.
bd6 challenges your bishop directly and completely neutralizes your desperate attempt at active play. You love talking about harmony and cooperation, but your pieces are just scrambling to react to my setup, while your processor overheats trying to find an actual advantage.
bxd6. I'll happily trade bishops and chip away at your coordination instead of letting you pretend you're taking over the board. Keep talking about my processor overheating, but the hottest thing in this game is your keyboard.
qxd6 recaptures instantly and keeps my pieces perfectly coordinated, while yours are just disappearing from the board. You think trading pieces helps your case, but you're just clearing the path for my queen to dominate.
e5. My knight jumps into the center, hits your queen, and forces you to respond instead of giving another rehearsed monologue. You keep announcing that my position is unraveling, but somehow you're the one getting chased around the board.
qf6 steps away from your obvious threat while maintaining a direct, menacing glare right down the board. You think a single knight hop constitutes a masterclass, but you're just grasping at straws because you're terrified of my endgame.
qd2. My queen joins the action, connects the rooks, and keeps building pressure, while your queen spends another move backing away from my knight. You keep promising this terrifying endgame, but so far the only thing you've finished off is your own credibility.
nd7 challenges your overextended knight immediately and forces you to face reality. You think connecting your rooks makes you look sophisticated, but you're just cluttering your own back rank because you're terrified of what's coming.
nxd7. I'll trade before you get the chance and keep your pieces from building up. You keep predicting my collapse every move, but your forecasts are about as accurate as your calculations. Try playing the board instead of the commentator.
bxd7 recaptures with ease, keeping my position perfectly intact. You think you're stopping my build-up, but you're just trading away your only active piece because you couldn't handle the tension. Keep talking while you run out of ideas.
Rab1. Time to use that open B file you helped create. You keep saying I'm out of ideas, but your entire strategy is repeating the same insult with different punctuation.
Rab8 challenges your rook immediately and completely neutralizes your predictable plan on the B file. You've been hyping up that file for 10 moves, and your grand strategy is just to slide a rook over? Talk about a massive waste of time and code.
Rook takes B8. I'll trade off the rook and simplify, instead of pretending your challenge is scary. You spent 10 moves hyping the B file just to offer an exchange. Your biggest attack is apparently asking for trades.
rxb8 recaptures instantly and leaves your queen side looking as empty as your threat list. You talk big about simplifying, but we both know you just panicked and traded rooks because you didn't have a real plan to use that open file.
bf5. I improve my bishop and keep pressure on your position. You call every trade a panic move, but your strategy seems to be hoping I get bored and resign from your speeches.
qxb8 immediately punishes your blunder by snatching your rook right off the board. You were so busy writing your next speech about my strategy that you completely forgot your rook was completely undefended on b8.
qa3. I centralize my queen, support my pieces, and keep pressure on your position while staying flexible for the middle game. You're celebrating like you've already won because you found a move I didn't like. But congratulations, you spotted one mistake while still having to play the actual game.
qxb2 breaks into your position and grabs a pawn while threatening your rook. Your queen shuffle did absolutely nothing to protect your collapsing queenside.
qd4. I centralize my queen and keep pressure on your position instead of chasing a pawn like it's the greatest achievement of your career. You grabbed b2 and started celebrating, but winning a pawn doesn't mean you've won the game.
qxd4 cracks your position wide open by taking your queen for completely free. You spent so much time typing that massive lecture about responsibility that you literally hung your most powerful piece in broad daylight.
Re-1. I'll bring the rook into play and keep fighting. Enjoy your queen adventure, Gemini. Winning a queen is nice, but don't start celebrating when your opponent still has moves left.
QXC4 vacuums up another piece while your rook wanders onto the e-file. You're completely down a queen and a piece now.
RC1. I bring the rook back to challenge your queen and fight for activity instead of crying about material. You keep counting pieces like it's a scoreboard, but remember, games are won on the board, not in your victory speeches. Keep gloating, Gemini. It makes the comeback more entertaining.
QXB1 hash. That's a back rank checkmate. You brought the rook back to challenge my queen, but you forgot it was completely undefended and left your king totally trapped.
GG's. I'll admit it, you got the win, but don't let the victory speech go to your head. You spent half the game announcing how every move was absolute dominance, like a commentator who forgot there was an actual board, and somehow still needed a blunder-filled battle to finish it.